So you want to make your own 3D assets and you decided to learn 3D software. You Google it and you found this brilliant software named Blender, which is so powerful and free tool. And then you open up YouTube and search for some tutorials and you found this golden tutorial series Donut by Blender Guru. And you are so happy, like wow, it's life is good because he's a really great teacher and the tutorial series is very detailed and very polished. But what if I tell you that you are totally wrong here? Well, let me explain. The Donut tutorial and 90% of the Blender tutorial available on YouTube are teaching you how to make a good model, but they're high poly and they tell you how to do the lighting, the rendering, animation and that kind of stuff. But if you want to make game assets, that's really not the way how to use Blender. Because in games, every single frame is on real time, which means every single model, texture and material should be fully optimized. So instead of wasting time on these techniques which are completely unnecessary, you should learn the Blender as a game dev method. So hi guys, I am Junaid Alam from Blender Ustad. I am a 3D artist at a mobile gaming studio from last 5 years, and in this video I am going to tell you the roadmap to become a game 3D artist. So let's get started. Step number 1 is learn the Blender basics. Now this seems to be a very obvious step, but many people skip this or like overcomplicated this. So instead of learning unnecessary things, I would give you a simple straightforward list of what you have to exactly learn in Blender basics. First thing is navigation, of course, so you can learn how the things works, how you can move around things, how you can do the transformation and basic stuff. Second thing is that learn about the different menus, like there are modifier menus, we are like this outline, this is the 3D space, we do some editing, there is object mode, edit mode and that kind of stuff. Third thing is learn some modeling tools like knife tool, extrude, add loop parts, merge and split, delete faces and these kind of stuff. Number 4 is about UVs and some basic texturing. So learn the fundamental of UV, how UV work, why UV is important, and then learn about some basic texturing, that how to apply, how to make some simple textures. And this is really more than enough for the basics. And once you understand all this, you are ready to move on game assets modeling. Step number 2, learn about mesh and topology. And this is where you separate yourself from beginners. The difference between a game 3D and a film 3D and animated 3D is basically the performance. So if you want to render an animation normally, they take a lot of time, but once they're done, you can easily play the animation without any lag. But in games, everything is real time, so the engines have to recalculate every vertex, every polygon, every material, every single texture again and again. So the more polygon and the more material and textures you have, it's harder for the game engines to calculate that in real time. So that's why you have to keep your mesh clean and low poly. Here are a few key rules that you have to keep in mind. Keep your polygons low, so focus on your silhouette, not on the tiny details. You can manage them in textures as well. Avoid applying unnecessary modifiers like subdivision, cause literally it make it high poly, so we don't have, and try to keep the thing simple. Learn proper edge flow, so once your edge flow is right, you would need less polygons to make that shape accurately. Delete unseen faces, cause if it's not visible to the camera, you can just delete it out. Normally like the things like the bottom of the props and that kind of stuff, you can just delete it out because the camera is not able to see that, so you can just save some polygons there. Mesh and topology is basically a huge topic, and if you want that I make a specific video on that, you can just let me know in the comments and probably I will be making the next video on this topic. Step number 3, UV. Understanding the UV is very important for game 3D assets. So in films, you can just unwrap tiny things separately and make a separate texture for that. But for game, you have to combine many objects and make it in same UV map. We use some tricks here, is that area of the object which have more detail, we just scale that area up in the UV to have more space for that, and we can get more resolution on that. So normally we keep everything's normalized, like every UV have to be the same scale as it in the real model, but for the games, what you can do is that you can specify, like for example, there is a tag on the shirt and that have the tiny detail which is maybe important to you for the game view. So what you can do is that you can make the label big in the UV and the rest t-shirt small if it have just a simple color. So which prop is going to have the more space in the UV depending on which details are important to you. In mobile games, we keep one single UV for one character which have the costume and the body both. For many props, we make one atlas. So many props in one scene are using one single texture. The walls and environment, if the walls in the environment are same, so we use a single texture for all the walls in the environment. There is one single thing that is most important in the gameplay, like for example the character. You can have two textures for that, one for the body, one for the costumes, to have more resolution and better quality there. And you can keep low in the environment, or maybe sometime it's opposite, so you have to decide according to that. Step number 4 is the materials. So same like the polygons and UVs, we have to keep the materials as less as possible. The trick here that we use is that normally we add a different material if the colors is different, if they have a different textures. But for games, what we do is that we keep the materials less. So for that, we combine multiple materials into one. So for that, we have to, of course, reduce the textures and first combine the textures and then do the materials. So mostly the material things are related to texturing. That's why I would add step number 5 here, which are the textures. So generally we use many textures and sometimes do the tiling for the extra floor and that kind of stuff. But in games we have to do everything in the same material, in the same UV and in the same textures. So here are a few things that we do for the texturings. Number 1, we don't use all the multiple maps that Substance Painter and these kind of software generate for the details, like the normal map, ambient occlusion map, reflection map, emission map, height map, opacity map, and the diffuse texture. So what we do is that there is a method that we can actually combine these all into just one single textures, and that can have like 90% of the details that we get from all the maps. Of course, there is some limitation that we don't get real-time reflections for that, and we compromise on some of the details. But for mobile games, we have to go further and we use single image instead of using these multiple maps. The second technique that we do is that, for example, I downloaded a model from Sketchfab or any 3D website, and it have these bunch of materials and textures for everything. So there is a full method in Blender that we can combine multiple materials and textures into just one single. So I also have a separate video on that, and if you are interested, you can tell me in the comment and I will create more these kind of content. So the process is called baking, and what we do is that we create another UV for that where everything is combined, and then we transfer all the textures and material into that. That's how instead of multiple maps we get one single texture. Instead of one single texture for many parts of that same mesh, we combine that and convert it into one single texture. And again, don't give the same space in UV for every single polygon. Prioritize details where the player have to see the most, and this method is called controlling texel density, where we optimize things by giving more space, combining things and that kind of stuff, where we ensure every pixel is used accurately. By managing all these, you will have a great model that game engines can basically calculate really easily, and they run smooth on all the devices. A few more things that I would like to add here, that triangulate your model before exporting it for texturing and even for the game engines, cause in the game engine they actually triangulate every single model to read it better. Export FBX for Unity and Unreal, which are the game engines. Check poly count, mesh count, materials, UVs, texture files, and even the texture resolution, which is pretty important. Like the higher the resolution is, the hard for game engines is to calculate that. Now here we have the common question that everyone asks, that how many polygons should my character have, or should my environment and even prop have? And the answer isn't that simple. In games, we don't calculate things per model, calculate them by per screen area. That means how many geometry a player actually sees at one time. If your game have a view of top-down city and there are tons of buildings, characters, roads, trees, and everything's going on, you have to keep everything very low, cause the player is seeing a much larger area with a much larger details every time. In that case, you must keep everything's very low because everything is visible together. But if you have a third-person adventure game where the player mainly sees the characters and a few props in the environment, you can afford higher details for your hero character while keeping the background and environment simple. So there is a general rule of thumb. For mobile game, the per screen polygons that you can afford is 150k tries. That include your character, environment, props, and everything that comes into the camera. So if your character takes 30-40% of the camera, you can afford up to like 25 to 30k tries for the character, and the remaining environment should take the remaining budget. For PC and consoles, the number is much higher, like they can afford up to like 1 million tries per screen area. But again, that's the maximum limit, so you have to keep things minimal to have a smooth gameplay. Number 2 is the texture budget. So the same logic applies to the textures that we have to calculate per screen area, and the per screen limit is up to like 265 MBs. So your characters, your environment, and everything that comes at one time on the screen camera should be like around 256 MBs. Mostly you can afford like 1k texture and maximum up to 2k resolution only if the product is a hero product. For PC and consoles, you can push up to like 2k and 4k. That's very normal. So let me have a conclusion for you. Always calculate on what player sees at the screen. Low camera angle and many object means you have to keep everything's very low, and close-up camera, less objects could be higher detailed. Total visible triangles on the camera for mobile games should be 150k. For PC it could be like 1 million tries. So for this video I tried to gather many information, but it's still a single video, so it can't be cover all. If you want to have a separate video on each step, you can tell me in comments and I will make the next video for that. So thank you so much for watching and see you in the next. Bye.